Welcome everyone to your August, yes, it's August 4th, Rotary Club of Ames. Let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We've got a few to keep in our thoughts and prayers, continuing to keep Dean Phillips' family in our hearts and prayers. His wife passed away. Diane Borland, Friendship Arc, her mom passed away recently here. And Katie's husband, Pete's father, Tom McMahon, passed away this last week too. So anyone else that we can, Ken?
Linda Glantz Ward.
Linda Glantz Ward.
Having
a tough time right now. Let's keep her in.
My wife fell and broke her shoulder, and last Friday she got a reverse shoulder replacement.
Oh, Ken's wife's got a reverse shoulder replacement. That sounds painful. We'll keep her in our thoughts, and you be nice to her, okay? All right, let's take a moment. Okay, thank you, everyone. Guests today. We have our speaker here today. We'd like to sing to our speaker, Frank Mirano. We're going to go ahead and sing to Frank for coming out today to speak with us later. So let's go ahead. Welcome to you from Ames Rotary, Adelaide, London, or Gaybury, the far-off lands or the USA. We're glad that you are here today. Come back again whenever you're near. Join us and then we'll make it clear. Around the world you'll always be welcome at Rotary. Thanks, sir. We're gonna keep you busy and go through happy birthday and anniversaries, August birthdays, those folks there. Now, again, the last time we did this, I kind of combined the two for time's sake, so we're gonna do that again. Everybody's gonna love it, right? So we're gonna do birthdays and anniversaries at the same time. As Katie had mentioned before, if your name's up there and you've missed it already, you might wanna get something tonight on your way home. But happy anniversary, so we're gonna sing happy birthday and anniversary. Anniversary to you, happy birthday and anniversary to you, happy birthday and anniversary, happy birthday and anniversary to you. That's not so bad, is it? Congratulations, everyone. And let's do a round of applause for everybody on this list. It's pretty impressive. 47 years for Charles. Karen, 27. Louie, 27. Congratulations. Thank you. Jim Black, 24. My goodness, that's fantastic. Thank you, everyone. Next week, we'll be online, so please tune in. Remember, you can mute and take your camera off so you can have lunch and still enjoy the speaker. Heather, I do not know much about Heather Bristow, but that is next week's topic is OLLI. I don't really know. Ollie? Someone will have to fill me in on that. Perfect. I don't know enough, so next week will be the week for all of us to figure that out. Volunteering at the Miracle League Baseball this fall. We've got, looks like dates August 23rd through September 27th. Yeah, so this is a great opportunity if you have some time on a Saturday. Looks like starting at 9 a.m. and then 10 a.m. Yeah, so please, is there a sign-up sheet that we have for that, or it's just show up? Just show up and get to enjoy all those kids having a great time there. Still looking for a few volunteers for Sergeant of Arms. We've got several right now, so if you have any opportunity, that's really about 10:30, maybe 10:45 in the morning before the meeting gets going. We just help set up beverages and the signs and stuff, and then probably about a half hour afterwards tearing down. So let us know on that. And public image chair, we've had a couple of people that have expressed interest, so if anybody's really good at marketing and likes posting pictures and stories about what we do, we'd sure take your advice and let you have some fun with that. So let us know on that. And then greeters, Jenny has a sign-up sheet out by the front there for greeters. We like some of our new folks, and well, really anyone who would like to greet, to sign up there, and she'll kind of coordinate that. So appreciate everyone who's doing that. And then, yeah, club service project ideas. Anyone that has a community service project idea, please bring that up. We had a couple come in last week online. Food at First was one of those that we talked about, possibly having some folks kind of volunteer for that. So that might be a good idea. We'll look into that a little bit more, but you can email those to Allison. Yeah, I think that's my announcements. I'm going to invite Karen Sevdy up here. She's got a new role with us here to do a few recognition points. Come on up.
Hello. I get to see your faces and not just the back of your heads. That's impressive. Yes, I am your new foundation chair, and I just want to talk a little bit about recognition points. The foundation has recognition points on a one-to-one basis for every dollar you donate to the Rotary Foundation. So your quarterly contribution of $25 would equal 25 recognition points, or 100 points during the course of the year. And you are able to transfer those points to individuals to award them a Paul Harris Fellow. Fun facts. John, I appreciate John's work on this because I pilfered from his slide. As of the end of this Rotary year, we had over 277,000 points cumulatively between the club and the club members. That's enough club points to recognize 277 individuals with a Paul Harris Fellow. 79 members, myself included, have well over 1,000 points available to award. The club itself has over 34,000 points that it could recognize individuals with. And we became a Paul Harris Fellow Club, 100% Paul Harris Fellow Club in the year 2017 to 2018. You can only receive that recognition from the Rotary Foundation once, but we definitely have enough points if we would like to maintain that with our club members. So now what do we do with the points? 28 current members, some of our newer members, have yet to earn a Paul Harris Fellow on their own. We could certainly award them with a Paul Harris Fellow and lift them up to that status. We can recognize non-members with a Paul Harris Fellow. People have awarded their spouse. People have recognized son, daughter, or just individuals around the community that are deserving and exhibit our Rotary Foundation or our Rotary values. We also could resurrect the Heroes Award, identifying specific community members who have gone over and above in their jobs to help citizens and various communities around Story County. So think about how you may like to use your points. If you would like to know, I have the list so I can tell you how many points you have. And I'm going to now switch over to have an example of such. Jenny and Sheila, come up. Jenny Legates has used 1,000 of her recognition points to present Sheila Schofer, you too, come on up, to present Sheila Schofer with her first Paul Harris Fellow. And I have to take your picture, sorry. And don't go anywhere, Jamie. We've been trying to do this. Lee Kilmer, would you come up? Lee Kilmer has missed a few meetings where we presented, and we have a Paul Harris +5 for Lee. That's all I got.
Congratulations there. I'm going to invite Katie up to introduce our speaker now.
Thank you. I have the honor of introducing Frank Mirano today. He is a trainer at Ames Fitness Center, and he's been a trainer for over 5 years. He'll tell you a little bit more about himself, but I was delighted to introduce Frank today because he's also my trainer. So welcome. Please join me in welcoming Frank.
Right. Hello, everybody. Man, that singing was a little rough, and I did do choir in high school, so if you want me to come back and do a presentation on singing, just give me free lunch and I'll be here. Become a member. All right, there we go. Okay, so a little bit about me. As she mentioned, I've been a personal trainer for over 5 years now, and all 5 of those years have been at the Ames Fitness Center, which also happens to be where I just did my interning when I was in college. So as far as the credentials that I have my associate's degree in fitness and exercise management. I am an ACE certified personal trainer, and that's a certification that I have to uphold as long as I plan on training people, so that's a renew every 2 years thing. I am a sports performance specialist, a nutrition specialist. I have won the award Best Personal Trainer of Story County the last 3 years, and hopefully plan to win another one, so if you are tech savvy, please get on there and vote for me the next 2 weeks. And then the last thing about me is that I'm a national strongman competitor. I've traveled all around the United States competing in that, as well as local shows. So if anyone wants to get involved in that, I think you all look like you could lift a little bit of weight. So just come see me if you want to know how to be involved in strongman stuff. So today I'm going to kind of talk to you guys about why exercise is important, what you kind of need to know as far as knowledge on getting yourselves started, and hopefully just kind of opening your eyes up to the importance of movement, especially the older we get. I tell all my clients, we're all getting older, we just started at different times, and it's never too late to start exercising. So as far as the importance of exercise, the number one thing I have up there is burning calories. And that may not mean much as far as its own statement, but the calories is how we actually keep track of our weight loss. Another part of lifting weights is building muscle, and the more muscle we have on our bodies, the more calories we just naturally burn from being alive. And it's good activity just to get the blood pumping and those calories burned in general. The next thing that we have is that we can improve balance and reduce fall risk. So I can kind of see a wide range of ages out there, and I'm sure none of you want to fall. So that's a pretty important thing. I don't think anyone ever wished that they had worse balance either. So by exercising, we can actually do a lot of different things to help kind of make sure that we are going to avoid getting hurt by things like falls, losing your balance, maybe just doing any general activity that you have to do in your general life where you could risk an injury popping up. Next is improving muscle and bone mass. Again, that's another important one. The more muscle that's on your body, the better you'll be as far as preventing those falls and those injuries. It's going to help you as far as, like I said, those calorie burns, so you don't have to worry about gaining too much extra weight, even when you're just being sedentary, if you have more muscle on your body. And then the bone mass, that has to do with once you do have that fall. So, going to help your kids or grandkids move. The chance of you breaking a bone substantially increases if you're not exercising regularly. And we can actually kind of send a signal to our body as far as a reaction to the weight that we place on it to tell our bones to stay as dense as possible. So a couple of very important things there. Next would be enhancing your heart and lung function. I think that kind of goes without saying. We have a word called cardio. That stands for your cardiorespiratory system. So that's a very important thing. One of my awesome clients back there, Tom, he's coughing because of a car accident, not because of his heart and lung capacity. But they're very important. I mean, the inside of our body is more important than the outside of our body, and they're actually all kind of combined, so we can take care of it all together. It delays cognitive decline, so that just has to do with how well your brain is working in general. I think a lot of you are still working or still want to be involved as far as your everyday life. Being able to have the brain power to do that is important for everyone. And lastly, it will boost your mood and well-being. So as far as mental illnesses, exercise has been shown to be very helpful in those stances, like battling depression or anxiety. But even besides that, just your everyday mood. So being able to deal with the stresses of resistance training or putting your body through something that's very tough actually translates very well to your body and your brain being able to respond to everyday stresses. So that mental well-being that we're kind of talking about there. So as far as that, I'm just going to cover a couple of these points a little bit more in depth. I want to make sure I didn't skip two. Okay, so exercise improving balance and reducing fall risk. So this was a meta-analysis. It just means it combines a bunch of different tests that have been done on different subjects. The important thing here is kind of what they came up with when they looked at all of these studies. So this was for just about any age group you could look for. I think they're mostly trying to look for people above the age of 70, but there were 648 subjects total. They used multiple different methods of exercise. Some people were just lifting weights. Some people were working on weights and balance and cardio. I think they even included people doing Tai Chi, some other forms of movement like that as well. So really just all exercise helps in this category. But the main thing they did see was the most benefits came from 5 days per week. They didn't specify an amount of time, so if you have 30 minutes to give to exercise just about every day, that can easily do it for you. But they did find that the people who were exercising 5 days per week saw a decrease of 36% in the falls compared to the people who didn't do any exercise at all. So again, as far as that silly statement I said earlier, I don't think anyone wakes up and decides they want to do something and fall and break something, but that's the way you show it. So just by exercising more, you can decrease that. You can make sure that you're feeling a little bit better as far as your overall health. And I think that's an important thing that you don't really want to compare a penny to. Next, we're going to talk about how exercise improves muscle and bone mass. Again, I think that's a very important one. Studies have shown that just by the age of 30, people already start to lose about 1% of their lean body mass or muscle mass every year. And that's pretty important, especially if you want to live as long as possible. So not only was I able to find, as far as a couple of more meta-analysis studies, was not only can you preserve the muscle that's on your body, but they've even seen people in their 80s and older be able to gain more muscle on their body just from resistance training. So it's not something that you have to just be okay with losing every year. The next one is that bone mass, so your bone density, and that's been shown to kind of start anywhere between 30 to 50 years old. I think it's a little more common in women as far as the osteopenia and osteoporosis, but that's another one where we can immediately see a positive change as far as lifting weights. In fact, there are not even meta-analyses, but specific studies that I've seen where women who are in their 60s and 70s have actually been able to gain bone density, not even just slowing the osteoporosis or osteopenia, and those are the specific subjects they were going for. So resistance training, pushing your body to lift heavier weights, it's a very important thing just for longevity and overall health. So how to start? The first thing is, what are your goals? I just named a couple of health reasons that kind of make resistance training or strength training very important. And by being able to highlight what part of those things I just said are most important to you can kind of help you figure out what you need to do for exercise. So what I mean by that is, if you think that you're at risk for osteoporosis or osteopenia, it's important to make sure that you kind of find some familiarity with lifting weights. And that means a weight that is very difficult for you to pick up, which I think makes a couple of people uncomfortable. Having a plan. I mentioned before that that study had seen 5 days a week was the most beneficial thing for people. I tell people anything is better than nothing. So whatever time that you can dedicate to yourself and your health is going to be more important than doing nothing at all. If you have 2 days, if you have 3 days, maybe even one, just figure out what works in your schedule that you can stick to. Try to make a specific time in your schedule for it and get it done. It can be 30 minutes, it can be 45, it can be an hour. If you have nothing better to do, you could be in there for 2 hours, but I don't know, maybe take a snack. And then just make sure you plan it. I hear a lot of times that people say, well, I'm going into the gym for a workout. I just don't know what I'm gonna do today. I'll just kind of look at the machines and see which ones start calling my name. Again, it's better than nothing, but really having a plan for yourself and making sure that you're gonna be working out either the specific body parts that you wanna do for that day, or you wanna make sure you hit everything that day, or you know that you're maybe having a specific ache or pain that you wanna address. Having a full plan and knowing where you're gonna start your workout, where you're gonna end it, it's gonna make the time go by faster because you're gonna be more concise as far as getting through everything, and you're gonna get a little bit more out of it. Exercise selection. So how many exercises should you do? Again, that's a little bit goal dependent. I prefer to work out my entire body in a workout, but I know some people who maybe like to work out just their legs on a day, and then they come in the next day and do a different body part. Depends on how dedicated you are. I prefer to work out 2 to 4 days a week, and in order to do that, that means I need to make sure I'm touching every single muscle group every single time that I'm getting in there. Works out well for me. Some people really like to be in there for 6 or 7 days a week, and for them, they might want to come in and do 1 or 2 body parts. I don't have the time for it. I've got a kid on the way. So, all right, and then cardio versus strength. I'm mostly going to talk to you all about strength today. Cardio is very important as well. The way that I've had it be described to me is the strength training really deals with what you can do in your everyday life. The cardio helps extend that life. So we need our hearts, we need our lungs, we need all of that stuff as far as being able to work for us as we get older. Your heart can work as great as any other heart, but if you don't have the muscles to do anything, you're not going to be able to do anything with that heart. So just being mindful of how much time you're dedicating to both of those things in life, but they should both be in some form of an every week workout program for you all. Important movements. I like to move around a lot more than this. I should have said yes to the earpiece. Okay, important movement. I like to talk about everything as being a specific body part. I would say the biggest body part that we have is our legs. They should be, unless you're a chicken leg walking around here. They're important. They support our entire body. Everything that we do starts with our feet and our legs. Okay, so I would put that at the top of the list of things to get done. Next is your back muscles. I'm not sure how much you all know about posture, but most people have pretty rough posture. And most of it has to just do with everyday life. We're not doing anything specifically wrong that we're being mindful of. It's just, I don't know anyone who reads a book behind them. Okay, so when I'm holding something in front of me, my shoulders are coming forward. That's not gonna help me as far as my general posture. I'm gonna slowly start to kind of creep forward, forward, forward. My chest muscles are gonna get tighter. My shoulders are gonna get tighter. My back's gonna get pulled. That's not a good way to live. So by being able to use these exercises to help kind of counter that, I mean, that's an amazing thing. Being able to stand up and be as tall as you can be for the rest of your life, that's a great gift as well. It looks like you guys take a lot of photos up here, so you probably want to be tall for them too. The chest muscles, those are just another big one. I don't really have anything insanely important to say about the chest muscles. I can say that your shoulders, as far as a muscle group, they depend on a balance between your chest and your back muscles. So if we're only ever working the back muscles, which I would say are more important, you're gonna eventually maybe get hurt just because you're not working the front side of your body as much either. So that's really where it starts and ends as far as the importance of your chest muscles, but they are a very important thing to train as well. Your shoulders, I won't make anyone stand up for the class, but I'd be curious to see how many people could actually lift their arms directly up above their head. So from a side view here, I don't have to curve my back to try to get this to be pointed up towards the sky. I can just do it from here. It's an alarming rate of my clients who are unable to lift their shoulders up. They might be able to do this, or maybe this is as high as they can get. Maybe they can go like that. So being able to exercise those shoulder muscles and be able to have that mobility to be able to lift your arms up above your head, again, that's a very important thing that I think we just forget about. Our shoulders are the most mobile part of our body, and when we kind of start robbing them of the movements that we like to do for them, they don't want to keep learning something that they don't do anymore. So working your shoulders is very important. Less important, although I know Tom likes to look good for his lady friend, working out your arms and your core. So I don't know if you all go on your beach trips with your families or anything like that. Arms and core are probably something that you want to have look a little bit nicer. Honestly, with everything else we're doing there, you're going to be getting some kind of arm and core activation, but they do deserve a little bit of a spot on their own as well. Over here on the right side, I'm just going to talk a little bit about the types of movements. So the sagittal plane, it's just a plane of motion. That just means everything that's in front of me or directly behind me. So most people, when they exercise, they only really think of that one plane of motion, and that tends to be a big reason why so many people get hurt, either by exercising or by their everyday life. Like I said, I've got a kid coming on the way, and I even have one already. If I only ever did exercise, going this way, using my legs like this, pressing like this, when I go to bend over and grab a car seat like this and pick it up, there's a chance I could throw out my back there because I am not strong rotationally, which would be that transverse plane, and I'm not strong frontally, which would be kind of a sideways plane, okay? So all of those planes of movements are very important just as far as making sure your body is staying, for lack of a better term, bulletproof, making sure we're avoiding these injuries from everyday activity, but as well as even just muscle development. So there are muscles that you can work rotationally that you can't work in this plane of motion. So it's important to be thinking of what kind of movements you're doing in the gym just as well as the body parts. And lastly, I just included balance. Balance can be a great thing for your brain, just as far as being able to detect when you're about to lose that balance and you can kind of correct it again. It's also a great thing just for your actual stabilizer muscles. So we've got muscles in our hips and our ankles, in our spine, and all of those are responsible for just making sure that we're not falling over as we start losing that balance, okay? So if I've got weak hips and I start falling to my left hip's not gonna be strong enough to help me, I'm gonna fall over. So that's where the strength plays a part. But the other part, like I said, is that brain. So the faster my brain can detect that I'm gonna start falling over to the left, the faster it can correct it before it goes too far. So I would say as far as balance, the younger you are, the less it has to be in your routine, but it should be in your routine no matter what. Okay, the last thing I'm gonna talk about as far as actual exercise is progressive overload. I don't wanna bore you too much with this. It's a little bit more science stuff, but this is kind of the method behind changing. So what this means is when we exercise, we can break it down as far as how many sets you did. So a set would be like how many rounds of an exercise you're gonna do. The next thing that you would break it down with is your reps, okay? So again, I don't wanna be too boring, but we have like a general idea that comes with amount of reps. So if you're lifting somewhere between 6 and lower as far as reps, that's usually where you're gonna see the most benefit of bone density, but also your central nervous system. So your central nervous system is just your body's ability to get the most out of its muscles. If my central nervous system is weak, I could have the biggest muscles in the world, I wouldn't be able to use them because I just don't have that exact signal to fire all of them. So that's really what you see kind of in that 6 and lower. 8 to 12 is usually where you would see a muscle gain. So that would be called sarcoplasmic hypertrophy if anyone needed to know that for a test. That literally just means your muscle fibers get bigger in size, okay? So most people, when they decide that they want to get in the gym, they'll search that online and see ChatGPT told them to do 3 sets of 8 to 12. That's the most traditional thing. And they say, okay, I want bigger muscles. You actually kind of need everything from it, okay? But if you just needed a general, this is where you gain the most muscle, it'd be the sets of 8 to 12. Usually anywhere between about 12 to 18 is where you would start to see your body's ability to have blood stored up in it. So when we're exercising a muscle, our body starts sending a lot of blood to that area. It's the pump that we would get. And I would say my favorite example of just pointing out how important this is, it would be like a rock climber. So if a rock climber is hanging on by his hands and his blood is all being pumped up to his forearms, if he's not able to handle that, he's not going to be able to use his hands for any more climbing. Hopefully he's at an indoor place like the one in Grimes and he can just fall to the ground because he's tapped out. By you training somewhere above that 12 to 20 or 12 to 18 reps, you get your body more used to being able to do stuff with a little bit more blood being pumped to that source. So again, these are all important things to know as far as when you're deciding what you're doing for reps, but you can use those reps as part of what we're gonna be talking about here. Next would be the amount of weight that you're moving. Next one would be how much time you're actually exercising that body part or you're exercising in general. And lastly would be how many days you're coming into the gym to do it, okay? So that's the first thing as far as progressive overload. And what we're gonna talk about here is volume. So your volume is the total amount of sets, reps, and weight that you're doing. If I'm doing 3 sets of 10 at 100 pounds, I'm doing 3 times 10, 30, times 100, 3,000. So my volume is 3,000 pounds. The way progressive overload works is that we have to have that number go up over time in order for our body to continue getting either the same or a better stimulus. If I only ever go into the gym and I grab the 8-pound dumbbells for this exercise because it's what I always do, if I'm not increasing that weight or increasing the amount of reps I'm doing, my body's probably not gonna get a better signal and know to change. So just, if any of you are, everyday gym goers and you like to get in there all the time to do exercise, make sure you're pushing yourselves in one of those ways. So that could be, I always do 3 sets of 8 to 12. Today I'm gonna do 4 of them. Or I always do 8 to 12 reps. Today I'm gonna do 15 and work for a little bit more of that pump. Or it can be, I normally grab the 8-pound dumbbells, I grab the 10s. I know this is getting repetitive, but as far as time, it can be, I spend usually 45 minutes working out. I'm gonna make it an hour from now on. Or lastly, I make it in the gym 3 days a week. I think it's time that I can probably add in another one. I'm gonna start doing 4 days a week. So just by doing a little bit of a change in any of those categories, you're sending a response to your body in order to get a little bit better from exercising. How to implement, I think I just kind of told you that. Pick one of those things or all of them and try to slowly introduce more and more work for your body, and that's gonna be the safest way to do it. If you're young and dumb like me, I can try to throw all of them together at once, even though I still might get hurt. Usually for someone though, you just wanna make about one change at a time, really let your body adapt to it for a couple of weeks, and then add in another change. It can be from any of the categories, whatever works well for you. And next is rest, okay? So rest can be 2 things. Rest can be you taking time in between your exercises, or it can also be like a rest day. I don't think I need to talk to the general population about a rest day. I think we all do a pretty good job of taking rest days. I told you I like to work out 2 to 4 days a week. So I'm gonna talk about rest periods real quick. I think a lot of people have a misunderstanding about weight training, and they think, well, if I just constantly switch between these 5 exercises and I go this one, this one, this one, this one, I get to work different muscles, I get in and out of there so fast. If you don't believe me, I promise you can find scientific studies on this. We can't get all of our benefits from cardio and all of our benefits from strength at the same time. It just doesn't work that way. So if I'm constantly going from one exercise to the next, to the next, to the next, and not taking a rest period, my body's actually getting a cardio signal because I'm not letting my heart rate ever come down. It's not getting a strength signal. So being able to have times in your workout, and it doesn't have to be the entire time, but times where you're doing one exercise, you're then resting from somewhere between 1.5 minutes to 3 minutes, and then going back into that exercise, that's actually where you get the biggest stimulus for building strength and muscle. If you give yourself minimal rest, that's where it really becomes an endurance exercise or a cardio exercise. And you will still get a little bit of a strength benefit, but not the full thing. So I like to kind of either have specific exercises where I know I'm gonna switch, or I know for a fact I'm here to get the muscle or the strength from it. And lastly is the signals. So really thinking about your body like it is something that needs a signal, I think is very beneficial. If you lift something heavy, that signal to your body is that you need to be stronger to lift that heavier thing again. And that's why we do multiple workouts a week, is to keep sending that signal to our body to know that it needs to stay strong. If your bones are becoming porous, sending a signal that, hey, I wanna lift stuff that is heavier, don't overdo it, but that signal to your body is saying, we better keep the density that we have in our bones right now or build some more up, because my person who controls this body is telling me that we're gonna be getting this heavy weight kind of introduced to us a lot. So really thinking of yourself as something that needs signals sent to it is gonna be a very important thing as far as just knowing what you should be doing with your everyday life. If I have very weak posture, my back muscles aren't strong, the more back exercises I do, the more I'm sending a signal to my back to say, oh, he's serious about this back muscle stuff. We better start kind of making sure he can get the most out of it or she can get the most out of it in order to get stronger and be a little taller. Okay, so muscle signals, very important thing. Being able to think of that as far as in your brain when you're deciding your exercises or how many days you're spending on stuff, I think is a very important thing. And lastly, I am here to just answer whatever questions you have for me. Like I said, I know I didn't talk too much about the cardio, but I will gladly answer some stuff about that, everyday goals that people have, or things about being a personal trainer. I guess I just don't know how that works.
Frank, Jenny Legates, when is number 2 due?
My second child is a boy, and he is due next Monday. So I was given 2 options for coming in to speak to you all, and the second option was right after that, and I said, there's no way in heck. So,
Kate Reynolds, and I work out at Child Serve. Question, what is your opinion on body weight versus using free weights or machine weights?
I think they're both important. First off, I think all exercising is important. There's some that I would say just aren't for me. Neither of those ones. Those are both for me. As long as it's challenging to you. So if I get to the point where I can do 60 push-ups in a row, I'm probably not getting a muscle benefit from me doing those push-ups anymore because that's just more reps than what my body's signal needs for muscle. But it can be very beneficial as far as just exercise in general. Like I said, the calorie burn, it can be good if it is challenging enough for sending a muscle signal or a bone signal. But usually, I would say it's more better for proprioception, which is your body's ability to move itself through time and space. That's something that is probably a little bit more achieved with a body weight exercise compared to a free weight.
Jamie Courtney here. I got a question. Have you heard of frozen shoulder? And if so, what do you recommend?
I have actually got a client who had frozen shoulder. She's fine now, so there's hope for whoever has that. Like I said, the shoulder is the most mobile joint of the body. I know in some cases it just eventually goes away on its own. With that client, what I was working for was being able to slowly introduce more and more movement as far as getting that shoulder or arm up above the body. As far as me speaking on muscles, the biggest muscles that kind of run into the shoulder would be your chest, which would be your pec. It would be your lat, which is the big back muscle, on this other side. Then you have your delts. So you would have your front, medial, and rear delts. So kind of being able to identify what those tight muscles would be and kind of providing some kind of relief to them, and then going into some form of an exercise or just movement with no weight would probably be the best thing that someone could do for that.
Thank you.
Hi, Sheila, Ames Public Library. I had a question. I see a lot about fascia, like different exercises or stretching to address that. What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, I don't think it can stop and end at just releasing the fascia. So for anyone who doesn't know, the way I like to describe this to people is if you've ever bought a chicken breast and had to prepare it, there's usually a very thin layer of this like white lining over the entire chicken breast that you can kind of pull off. Our bodies have that over our entire muscle system, but they run in specific lines. And so what that means is technically someone could come to me and say that they have back pain, and it could actually be something involved with their IT band as far as having a fascia buildup. And if that's pulling at all or being very tight, it's reducing the amount of movement that you're getting to somewhere else in your body. So as far as fascia release, I believe in it. I think it's a very important thing, but it has to be accompanied with some kind of a movement after. If I just release it and I go back to sitting down or even just maybe walking, I'm probably not doing enough to really get like the rest of my muscles to take over and do the stuff that they're supposed to be doing. So if I'm really tight on the right side of my spine, I might walk like this, and then my spine would correct itself up at the top. So if I started to release that area in my spine, well, now I'm like this. So I need to be doing some kind of a thing in order to cause these muscles on this side to get their strength needed in order to pull me back up to the center. That's kind of how that would work as well.
Yes, Tom Walsh. I know breathing is very important. I have a good friend who has training in kinesiology and sports medicine. She's also a medical doctor. And she said the breathing is really important to open up arteries in your body, and also have less stress on your heart. So when you're actually bringing weight up, you should breathe out. When you release, you should breathe in. Do you emphasize that?
Yeah, so the term for the beginning thing would be vasodilation. So the more your arteries and veins are opening up, the better we can get blood flow. That's something that does happen from exercise. It also happens from caffeine intake and a bunch of different other stuff like that, stretching and heat. So that's as far as the benefits of that is just the more efficient your blood is flowing through your body, the easier you can use it. As far as the breathing during exercise, it's very important for your core especially, but just like you said, the vasodilation. So as far as when we're lifting, if we have a tough portion of a lift, which is usually where everything starts to straighten back up, that is where you should be breathing out in order to make sure that you are able to stay nice and tight in your core. And then the easier part, which is usually where that weight's either coming back down, or even when you're in the middle of like that pause between the rep, that's where you'd want to bring the air back in, and then also make sure you tighten that core again after you do that, or maintain that tightness the entire time. It's a weird thing that I tell my clients, but I tell them sometimes to pretend I'm about to punch them in the stomach. If you were about to get punched, you'd probably tighten up pretty tightly. You don't want to be soft to get hit there. And that's actually what your core should be like the entire time that you're exercising if you're having to stabilize a weight. So we do not want to be relaxed in our core. We want to be nice and locked down in order to make sure we're not going anywhere.
Any more questions?
So we've got one more over here. I do know you have to be out by 58, so that's not enough time for me to do a singing number for you.
Are you sure?
Positive.
There's the old adage, 10,000 steps a day.
Yeah.
What's your reaction or feeling or advice?
Katie's my client, and one of my goals for her is that she needs to be walking 10,000 steps a day. I tell her that it doesn't matter if she does any separate cardio on her own, she should be trying to do that no matter what. So even if you get on your bike and you do an hour of biking, you should still be setting that goal of 10,000 steps. I think the average American does anywhere between 3,000 to 4,000 steps a day, which is just grossly under movement. So even if I don't even pin out a specific area where you're gonna get healthier from those steps, you're gonna be overall a healthier person and probably more accomplished too if you get those extra steps.
Does it matter how aggressive those steps are?
No, you can do whatever speed you want. There are times where I'll walk in place. It's hilarious. I have a 2-story house and I'm downstairs. My wife gets a headache. I have to go heat up her heating pack in the microwave. It's like 10:30 at night. And I'm running in place while the microwave's going because I'm at like 9,700 steps. And I'm not a small guy, and I get up there and she goes, "Were you running down there?" And so I did have to tell her that I was just doing this while I was waiting for the microwave. I count those as steps. I mean, it's just a good principle to have in general for good movement.
Park, retired real estate. Would you explain osteopenia?
Yeah.
What is it?
Yeah, so osteopenia is the beginnings of osteoporosis. Unfortunately, I don't have the specific numbers, glued in my head. So osteopenia would be the beginnings of osteoporosis. If they think you're at risk for it, they would have you come in, they'd do a bone scan, they'd see your bones are at blank amount of density, and they'd say, okay, well, you've got the beginnings. It's kind of like with diabetes. You'd have beginnings as far as like, okay, your blood sugar's at this, that means you're pre-diabetic. Osteopenia is like the pre-osteoporosis. Yeah.
Any other questions?
Describe about making arrangements to have a personal trainer. You're
Yeah.
doing this, obviously, there are a number of places or people
Yeah.
doing this.
So first off, I'm busy. I'm sorry, I can't train any of you, but we have a lot of great trainers. So I work at Ames Fitness Center specifically. They have 3 locations, although only 2 have personal training people there. So it would be either our North Ames location or our South Ames location, and I think we have roughly somewhere between 20 and 25 trainers on staff. If someone were interested in it, it's a little easier if you already have a membership to the gym. That way you can already kind of come in, but we do train people outside of the gym as well if they don't have their memberships. So all it is if you know someone specific you want to work out with, you would request them when you come in. Otherwise, you would just say, I'm interested in personal training. these are my goals, this is my background, and my director usually does a pretty good job of being able to match people up that way. So that's kind of how I got Katie and Tom Hertz back there. Stuart Melvin is one of my clients, and then the guy who actually is the reason I'm up here on the stage is Carl Byrne, although he's not here today. So I actually trained 4 of you. And used to train Mark Speck. Give him grief for that. Yeah. So as far as me being a personal trainer, we have different packages and stuff like that. So we have some people who prefer to pay per month, some people who prefer to pay all up front. But no matter what, usually it's kind of dependent upon how often the person wants to exercise. So like I said, it's usually whatever works best for people. If they know that they can give 30 minutes to working out, they might do one 30-minute session with me a week. If there's someone who really wants to get in and be trained for their entire fitness week, I have some people who do 3 hours with me, 4 hours with me. It's just really dependent on the person. But you would be able to sit down with the trainer and decide what's best. I've even had people come in and say, I want to do 2 hours a week with you, and I just got off of this hip replacement or something like that. And I'd say, well, let's go ahead and start off with 2 half hours and kind of see how that goes before we would ramp it up. So it's also just person dependent. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you, Frank, so much. Let's give him a round of applause.
Thank you, everyone, for having me. It was an honor to be here. The lunch tasted delicious, and it was good to see everyone paying attention, too. So I should have brought my pop quiz.
Frank, part of exercising our brain is reading, and we've got a book we'd like you to sign so we could give to a young child at their welfare check. So thank you so much for coming. A round of applause again for Frank. Appreciate that. Thank you, sir. My in closing, and for the good of the order, I grew up with my dad always telling me, or maybe more so showing me, that just simply walking was the best thing you could do for the rest of your life. He grew up with a couple of parents that had issues with that, and to this day he still gets out and walks and ribs my mom sometimes because she doesn't quite join him all the time. But I still don't walk every day, but I know that that's extremely important, and if you can even take it one step further with folks that Frank has, it's good to exercise our brain and our body so we can all enjoy that when we get older. Maybe not fall and break our hip like my aunt just did. So with that, rise and join me in the 4-way test. Of the things we think, say, or do, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendship? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.